Hello there, my succulent sand particles. It is I, Shifty V. In recent years, as more and more people have finally realized that dinosaurs do in fact have an audience and aren't just for little babies, there has been a big upsurge in many things dinosaur related, specifically video games. There are currently way too many dino games that are being developed to keep track of all of them or to be able to afford them when they come out. So I figured it wouldn't hurt just to make a quick video on upcoming dinosaur games that I think are actually worth your time. By the way, you should know now that I will not be including survival simulators in this video, so I better not see any comments talking about, Shifty V, you forgot to mention Path of Tickled Ball Hairs 3000, the best upcoming survival game around? Shh, shush. Once a dino sim actually looks interesting visually and isn't just semi-realism to hyper-realism copy-paste, I'll bite. Anyway, for my first magic trick, I present to you, Kyoryu. It's Kyoryu, were you really expecting anything else to lead the list? For the people that aren't aware, Kyoryu is an action-adventure game being made by Floating Rock Studios that features a samurai T-Rex trying to survive against other interesting depictions of dinosaurs and other prehistoric creatures. It got its first trailer in September last year for what I think is supposed to be an animated show that's being developed alongside the game, and a gameplay trailer a couple months ago that showed some stealth, chasing, collection, and the potential for some rip-and-tear action with the mother T-Rex. It was and still is a big breath of fresh air compared to a lot of the other games being announced these days, and I cannot wait to play it because I have little doubt that it'll be anything short of good. Red Sphere, as it's being called right now, is a fantastical RPG where sentient dinosaurs and people live alongside each other. You'll be accompanied by some of the friendlier dinos as you fight through bandits and other strange beasts. Not only do you get swords, but your prehistoric pals also get big swords. And guns. There isn't much to see of this game so far, but I love the sound of it regardless. I think the art style is great with the models all being visually distinct and appealing, and as someone who has never given turn-based RPGs a chance unless they're Pokemon, I'd be happy to let something as charming as this help sell me on the genre. I'm interested to see what they do with the world and the characters, and I hope that they add a Stegosaurus ally that runs at things while holding a bomb. By the way, this all seems to be made by one person so far, that being Earl Knight, who you can find on both Twitter and Blue Sky. So go show them some support if you're interested. Staying in the same lane, there's also Clever Girls being made by Osafrage Games, I think. This is another turn-based RPG featuring an all-female cast of talking dinosaurs exploring human civilization while they avoid and take down poachers. It is going to be heavily story-focused, and instead of head-on confrontations, Clever Girls seems to be all about stealth and trying to outsmart the enemy AI, which is definitely the biggest draw here. Most other developers trying to make dino games with stealth mechanics have you hide from the dinosaurs, as we've seen with every dinosaur horror game to exist, but using stealth and tactics against people as the dinosaurs is a much more refreshing concept. Again, I think the visual design is fun and I'm interested to see what the story offers. There's going to be branching paths where you have to manage friendships and relationships between the dinosaurs, and it sounds like an absolute vibe. The demo comes out next month, and I probably won't record it, but I'll definitely be giving it a go. There's both Compound Fracture and Paleophage, these two being atmospheric horror games with shooter elements. While Compound Fracture is more of an action game that utilizes claustrophobic spaces, giving off similar vibes to the Colonial Marine campaign from Alien vs Predator, Paleophage leans more into the survival horror Resident Evil style with puzzles, dark areas, and over-the-shoulder camera placement. While Compound Fracture tries to replicate the look and feel of a pixelated 90s game, like Turok, Paleophage seems to want to provide an experience with up-to-date graphics and models, attempting to capitalize on the Dino Crisis-shaped hole that's been left in dinosaur fans for decades. Both have their own quirks and style and are worth keeping your eye on, but I will say that Paleophage definitely needs to improve on its animation. Some of these game clips feel like they're running at 2/3 the normal speed. And then of course there's Jurassic Park Survival, which will be likely crushing any hope you have of placing your hands on a weapon and putting you in vulnerable, defenseless positions as you try to navigate your way out of the park. There will be many unique locations to coincide with the ones you recognize from the movie, and it'll likely provide us with the closest modern representation of the original film as we're ever going to get, at least from a somewhat official source. A horror game that is not only high quality but also based on the Jurassic IP is one that I and many others have been waiting for a long time. And even though it's been a bit of a bumpy road with the development, I do think this one is going to come out. It depends on when it releases, but it could very well be my game of the year, we'll just have to see. I just hope they remember to include some of the dinos that never made it into the movie. Those extra additions are what made the Jurassic Park Telltale game. The Troodons there are still some of my favourite dinosaurs in the franchise, and I hope they can do something unique with their game too. Finally, to cap this video off, I have some cautionary mentions. This refers to games that I like the look of, but I'm not quite sure if they're actually going to come out. The first and most interesting goes to Ark 2. I don't think there's been any big news that wasn't disappointing since the trailer came out. Despite that, I really want it to be released, more so than many of the other games on this list. It'll have a much more in-depth combat system than the original, which was one of its biggest flaws. Your reward for spending tens, sometimes hundreds of hours grinding to fight bosses and beat the game was just watching your team swarm them and pile on a bunch of numbers. It was fucking boring. I don't care how different this next game is going to be from the first one mechanically, I want to hit a T-Rex with a demon dance. Next, we've got The Lost Wild. This game is in a similar boat, as it's not only had some complications with their publisher, but has also not received any real news that I can find since they released their trailer 2 years ago. It looked nice, and would probably be a good replacement for JP Survival should that game never see the light of day, but that would require this one seeing the light of day too, and I'm really not so sure. And my last mention is Instinction. This one is active, yes, but it really feels like a too good to be true type situation, with the immensely high level of detail on models and relative speed at which new content gets shown off. There's also a bit too much going on with this game for me to be fully confident. First person and third person controls in the same game don't mix that well from what I've seen, and oftentimes one gets somewhat screwed over even if the other one works as intended. They're also letting you play as the dinosaur, which, even if basic compared to survival games, is still going to require an insane amount of effort. On top of that, there's a conversation between one of the social media guys and another Twitter user where the former made quite a few contradictory statements regarding the game, and this could potentially allude to some issues. I'm not going to show them here, nor will I outright claim it's a scam, because it could just be poor PR and a misunderstanding, but I'll link the thread below so that you can come to your own conclusions. I want this game to be the real deal, don't get me wrong, but I call it a cautious mention for a reason. That's all for today. If I missed a game you're looking forward to and think should have been included here, please let me know. I also have one more important link relating to a few videos I'm working on in the description. It'd be great if you could check that out. Thanks for watching, people. See ya.